Can I have Dr. Hiroko? Okay. Yeah. Hello. Dr. Umesh Kumar Mandal. And Mr. Sam Barat. To all the people and panelists who have joined online for SASEANEE launch, really request for your patience. We should begin in another 2 minutes. We're just waiting for Mr. Sam Barat to join us. No. Oh, that. Yeah, we're just waiting, okay. How tired is everyone? Very tired. Very tired. We just have 15 panelists. That's it.
Okay, I think you should start.
I'm just waiting for Sam. Should I? Not.
I think start.
Okay, fine. All right. He's just here, so that's why I was. Just another minute. Yes, I was asking, how tired are you all? Sleepy? Yes? But we have a very interesting panel, and we've given them a time limit. So it should be extremely quick and interesting. We couldn't resist calling each one of them because they bring something really, really special to the panel. So Sam, we're waiting for you. Thank you. Okay, good evening everyone, and thank you for joining the launch of SASEANEE and a short panel discussion. We are very excited today because this is an old story that was started long back in 1993. It's still relevant, and we thought we should bring it back, and we'll tell you why. So I'm from the environment sector, and I really feel, there's so many organizations, and in your experience today also, you might have noticed there's so many mighty organizations doing so much of good work. And I always, when I kind of compare it, I think of it with an ant. An ant looks so small, right? But it carries something so big. And that's what I feel all the organizations are working on in this sector. But they're really pushing hard. They're pushing hard, and they're not able to halt. They're not able to make the difference they want to make or what the world needs. In spite of environment education being in the system in India for so many years, in our school system, we are just not able to see that kind of change, and we continue to destroy our planet. So the thought here is that we need to now think of a different way of working. Should we just be one ant carrying a big leaf and feel good about it? Or should we come together? And that's the whole idea about what we believe at SASEANEE and CEC. We believe that Collaboration is what we need for amplification. It is the time to collaborate, innovate, and educate, not just share logos, but do something deeper with true intent. We also believe that a lot has happened, a lot has been created, and we keep getting the statistics, and you must have also heard in the panels a lot of doom statistics. This particular region where we also belong, the South and Southeast Asia, is said to be extremely vulnerable, has a median age of 29.6, is going to get impacted by climate change in a very big way. So what do? Should we all keep doing our own thing, or should we come together? And that's what we are doing today. We are beginning a new journey, creating founding partners who have worked for 50, 60 years in this field, globally, across the world, who have so much of rich content. So today we are collaborating, coming up with this consortium of core partners who will take this mandate forward. We will take the work forward. And I begin the day with deep gratitude to them for coming on board, for believing in this thought with open minds and hearts to say, let's do something, let's expedite things, and let's reach this region and see, can we do something? Can we stop this kind of destruction? Can we change the trajectory? So with that, on that note, I'm going to call upon Sam, Kartike. Mr. Pradeep, is he here? He's not here, okay. So on that note, Ms. Ruqayya Khatun is joining us from online. I'll give you a little bit about them. So Sam, Kartike, Ms. Ruqayya, and Pradeep. So Ms. Ruqayya Khatun currently serves as the Director General of South Asia Cooperative Environment Program, SASEANEE. And she has worked a lot on policy, a lot on collaboration, and we felt she was an absolute important person who should be joining us today to bless this particular launch. We also have with us Sam Bharat. Sam is a dynamic leader and advocate in the field of environment education and sustainability, and currently serving as the Chief of Education, Youth, and Advocacy for UN Environment. And of course, we're missing Mr. Pradeep. So Ms. Khatun and Sam and Kartike, can you look at the screen and do a magic clap? Maybe SASEANEE shall come along. All of you can do it. Shall we do it? 1, 2, 3. Yes, SASEANEE. Okay, great. Okay, you can get an applause from the audience. Fantastic, fantastic. So I'll call Kartike Sarabhai, the founder director of the Center for Environment Education, which was established in 1984. He is recognized for his work globally in this space and is also the recipient of the Padma Shri, one of the highest Indian civilian. And he's telling me to move, but I'm not. So over to Kartike, because I think so this is his dream, his idea. So I'd love to talk about it.
And they will change the slide when I see?
Yeah, so whatever you want them to show, they'll show.
Okay. So thank you. It is a great moment for us because it was something which was a dynamic start much before we could connect so beautifully the way we can connect, which we can connect today. It started, as she said, in '93 with members from all these countries coming to Ahmedabad and decide that we need to really think about issues of this region, but how do we bring in some of the global knowledge into it? So it's not about, as you can see, many of the partners are not from this region, but how do we really bring environmental education as a means of change, to bring dynamic change? So that was what it was. I will ask Radhika, how do we go to the next one?
Whatever you want to talk about, partners, history, we can
Yes,
just
okay. So these are the products. Now what this space is going to do is, we hope many young people, many institutions, schools will go into this space, and what they see are at the top a list of the products. We just now have courses, We have upcoming conferences, we have campaigns you can join, research programs, some new books, manuals, reports, some videos, podcasts, maybe games totally, and all of these, they are putting them on. As you click on these, you will get things from this. Now initially, we have got these products from these 6 partners which you see, and there are already a huge amount which are there. I'm glad to say, when I was talking to Shweta on getting the Roots and Shoots programs also offered through this, and so she'll be the first new one to join this, I hope, and then several other organizations here. But what we felt was that all of this can get offered through this space, and this space will carry many of the materials which are not charged, which are free to access. It will also have programs which are on charge, which will go directly to those respective organizations, and so you can join. So essentially, this is a curated method of bringing so much which is available today to people in a single space. And I hope many of you, all of you, and many other people will just visit this space often enough. We thought we might have something happening there, so there might be a free talk on certain days. One of the ideas was we might have Mondays for biodiversity and Tuesdays for something else, to get people to come here. Our vision and our history is here, and so to celebrate it, most of the partners are in different countries, and we don't want to spend too much time to get them to come. Okay, Radhika, you want to show this? The green education. Yeah. Just why don't you talk about that?
So the whole idea is that we feel green education is something we need people to become literate, environmentally literate, and hence there is a whole section on green education which has resources, courses, opportunities to learn, meet experts and learn. We have a space of green living where we encourage. We go into the citizen space and community space, and we want people to take part in movements like we have Gen Can, like we have the Tide Turner Challenge, different movements that people need to participate in, because it's really important for people to take action, to understand a problem, and then look at their own behavior change. And together as a consortium, we feel we'll be able to advocate for green policies together. And that's the other section. So all our content that Karthikeya just now showed you will be in these areas. And we look forward to many partners coming forward so that this can grow further into different parts of this region. Yeah. And finally, if anybody wants to join the network, there is also a place to join us and stay updated. There is also a place where you can become a partner. So you can also put in a request to become a partner. And of course, it will go through the curation process. So that's SASEANEE for you. Okay,
so do you want to get
Sam and Ms. Rukya?
Yeah.
I hope you liked SASEANEE. Yes? Okay. So now I'd like to call upon Mr. Sambara to come and say a few lines. Any thoughts? Any message to us? Do networks work? They don't work? This one will work.
Okay. So I think there are 3 different types of network. Ones which are proactive, that are always trying to do the right thing. Those that are reactive, that have been waiting to be told what to do, and those that are dormant, that don't do anything. I hope this one will be the first category of proactive, because I think there are a lot of networks that we work with universities around the world that have a very impressive Excel spreadsheet, but doesn't respond very much to email. So I think for me, networks are as strong as the community, but the way you build community is through culture. You don't build it through content. And the way that networks, I think, work is when you have a relationship and you have the ability to connect to people through their hearts, not just through their heads. And I think there's a challenge for universities that's growing around relevance. The power that you have in the cities that you live in is transformative. And the work that you do, I think, needs to evolve not just from certifying students to say, you came here and here is your certificate, but this is what we will do for the cities that we inhabit. And this is how we will be not just institutions that have heritage, but institutions that really help civilization go on new paths. I think universities need to be less conservative and a lot bolder in who they are, what they are, and the spirit that they come from. What we're trying to do with universities is get them to unlock themselves from themselves and to be very much part of a solution agenda. So everything they do, the rich research, needs to be kind of delivering a lot more solutions, and we know what's possible. We saw what COVID delivered in terms of vaccines, and we saw how universities jumped up and stepped into that challenge. And we're seeing that with universities now on climate change. A lot of the solutions are university born and bred. But I think for me, when it comes to networks like SASEANEE, the challenge will be, how will you be different? What is your value proposition? And how can you be provocative? And how can you ask questions that may be uncomfortable? So it's only when things are uncomfortable that change really happens. If it's too comfortable, people just stay in the status quo. So my challenge to SASEANEE is to be a proactive network, to build culture, to get universities to do things they don't normally do, but to think about how you build a genuine community that makes a difference. We do 3 things with universities. One is a nature positive initiative, which is with a number of universities thinking about how nature has to be in all of us. And so we're helping universities evaluate the nature drawdown in their supply chain, reinvest in nature on campuses, and think about the research outputs on nature. We're also supporting universities to hit Race to Zero and be net carbon as soon as possible. And we're also now thinking about universities and green skills and how that transforms. And so for me, what I would say is I'm excited by the promise of this network, but in 1 year's time, I'd like to see what the network has achieved, and also to listen deeply about what the network wants from you. So you're not like, join us, but how can you be different? So I think having a culture and a promise will be really important. And I would have a metric that's not based on size, but it's based on purpose. So it'd be better to work with 100 universities that make a difference than 1,000 that don't. So what is the bar that you want to set so a network can be really intentional, as opposed to something that makes a vice chancellor feel good, but then nothing happens. So for me, the challenge on SASEANEE, I'll get it right, is to be different, to be radical, and to make this uncomfortable so change is more likely to happen, rather than just give a soft bar of entry where change is less likely to happen. So over to you. Don't let us down.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we got solid homework now. So in a year from now, Sam, we report back to you. But I think so that's really an important message, and we really appreciate that. And we do hope to keep laser focus on what we want to do. So with that, we had Ms. Khatoon, who was going to join us from Sake, but unfortunately, because of the delay, she has left. So we'll begin with our panel. And we will begin first with our online panelists, because they've been waiting a lot, and then we'll come to the on-ground ones. During this, this panel will be moderated by Mr. Sarabhai. And during the discussion, each panelist will have the opportunity to share their insights and provide a special comment or message on how a network like SASEANEE can accelerate and support various environmental and education initiatives in this region. I call upon Sean to begin with. Can I have Sean on the screen? Yeah, they're going to be on the screen. Yes, yes. Can we have all the panelists on the screen, please? Can we have all of them here? Oh, there they are.
Okay, great.
And see, they've all been waiting patiently, so I think so we need to give them an applause for staying there. And I think so what they're doing is they're sharing their support to SASEANEE. So we'll first go with Sean. Sean Saudi is a global leader dedicated to enhancing justice and environmental conservation and community well-being. Sean also chairs the IUCN Commission for Education and Communication, and IUCN CEC was the first partner of SASEANEE way back in 1993. So it's really special that they are also our partners as we relaunch it. So over to you, Sean. Kartikeya, would you like to? Yeah, please.
Sean?
Namaste. Can you hear me?
Very clearly, yes.
Hi, sir. Shall I launch right in?
Yes, please.
So my name is Sean Southey, everyone. I have the great pleasure of chairing the IUCN Commission on Education and Communication. It's great to be on a panel with people I know. It's good to see you again, Sam, and greetings, Radhika, Kartikeya Bhai, and my dear colleague, Basante, in the room. As I have a second person on the panel, Cheryl Charles, who's a long-term ally and friend of CEE, who's going to speak to our programmatic agenda and how it meshes. I want to speak to the more substantive network collaboration. And I really love Sam's input where he challenges us to be a non-traditional network, a proactive network, a network that does, not talks. And for us in IUCN, this is quite an easy discussion because, as those of you who don't know, IUCN is a network of networks. We have 18,000 volunteers across 7 commissions. We have 1,500 member organizations from government and NGOs. We have 1,000 staff in 45 offices. And I want to pick up on, maybe I'll use a metaphor, the idea of an ecosystem. Sometimes in this work, I get asked, why a new network? Why a new project? Why a new campaign? We have one campaign. Can't that campaign do all the work? And increasingly, I believe we need to recognize that in the world of communication, we live in a complex and moving ecosystem. And it's the ecosystem metaphor that helps us look at what makes success, what makes health. A healthy ecosystem is not competitive. There's some competitive tension, there's some pushes and cajoling, but 80% of an ecosystem works in a synergistic and harmonistic way. And I see huge potential between our work at CEC, at the CEC, and this new network of collaborate, especially when we look at issues of subsidiarity, because I believe a network is effective when it's as close to the community it wants to interact with as possible. So to have an Asia network, a Southeast Asian network focused on these issues, but still bridged into global networks through the collaborations and the partnerships, gives you the best of both worlds. Gives you access to local best practice, local expertise, local talent, which allows the intimacy which Sam spoke to, that connectedness which Sam spoke to, the tailored solutions that we need for the big problems ahead of us, but also access to outside stimulus, new ideas. The second thing about a healthy ecosystem is that it is fecund, it is productive. And I think already we're seeing in the few weeks since this network has been put up, there's a conscious effort to get content forward from multiple sources. I'm a big believer that if content is king, then distribution is the queen. So equal time must go into not just the collecting of the information, but the ensuring that its access is promoted and shared, that languages are taken account of, that mentoring is built in. And my last point speaks to diversity. When we weave communities, when we have universities talking to high school teachers, when we have community members talking to experts, we get new ideas, new stimulus, new input. So for us in the CEC community, we bring our diverse community to join with this diverse community and look for working closely with you to ensure that we produce a more successful, productive, interactive, and diverse network together. So on behalf of CEC, a big thank you. And I'm going to apologize in advance, Kartikeya Bhai. I have a hard break in 7 minutes. I'm currently in Saudi Arabia and have a meeting with the Minister of Environment.
Thank you so much, Sean. And it means a great deal for us. As Radhika said, it's also nostalgic that CE and IUCN CEC were the first to really start this. May I now go to, thanks, Sean. So I understand you need to leave for another engagement. Yeah. Cheryl?
Thank you.
Yeah. Cheryl, can I go to you? I must say here that way back in 85, just when CE had started, and I went to my first North American Association of Environmental Education conference. That's where I saw Cheryl and Julie Browse and others doing Project Wild at that time. And I was so fascinated of looking at how we can bring some of these ideas into India at that time. And that whole process of adaptation and really changing programs around was so beneficial, and it was done at sea level. And through this, I hope we can go much further. But Cheryl, can I go over to you?
Absolutely, my pleasure to be here. May I check also? Can you hear me clearly enough?
Yes, thank you. Yes,
okay.
we do.
Outstanding. Well, thank you. And it is true. I mean, I do remember coming, of course, to Ahmedabad in those early mid-'80s and seeing the amazing work the Center for Environment Education was doing at that time, and to see the progress throughout the region. I'm going to say that this relaunch of this South and Southeast Asian Network for Environmental Education is just so exciting and so outstanding, and that you're building as a community of people on a great many successes in the last number of decades at the same time as this gathering of you here at this particular conference has already made clear there are so many challenges. So I think as I think about what to emphasize, it is correct. I'm also a member of the steering committee for the IUCN Commission on Education and Communication, and international co-chair of one of our initiatives called Nature for All. And another project that I think will be of relevance and use to this network is our Global Lessons in Greening School Grounds effort. And this is all consistent with what you all are trying to do. I think I'd emphasize the importance of all ages, an intergenerational approach to this network's work. I heard Sam's comments about the university community, which I think are, of course, relevant and appropriate. I'd also like to emphasize, though, the importance of beginning with children and some of the work that's already going on in that respect. So where the kids or where the children are at their homes, in their neighborhoods, in their schools, is one of the ways in which this network can help to achieve the goal of sustainability that's in everyone's hearts. And I would really emphasize something that's tending to be lost around the world, and that is, as much as we love and value technology, we can't forget the importance of people of all ages, but especially children, connecting with nature itself in a highly urbanizing world. Even though those outdoor places are accessible to many, they're being lost. Those opportunities are being lost in many ways. So one of the reasons this is relevant to the work of this network is that the research is clear that most people who grow up to take action to benefit the environment, to care for the earth, had meaningful experiences of that kind in childhood. So don't take that part of it for granted. Create those opportunities. Celebrate diversity, as Sean said. And from a network point of view, I think the last thing I would comment on is we use in the Commission on Education and Communication lots of nature-based metaphors. And we think about how nature works as a way to inform our thinking and our practice. One of those is the idea of niche or niche. And that is that every organism has a contribution to make. So as you relaunch this important network, think about the fact that every one of the individuals and organizations that will participate has a great contribution to make, to do it collaboratively, to do it cooperatively, to respect the contributions of all who join in this important effort. So with that, my thanks. I will also acknowledge one of our colleagues in your audience, Dr. Vasanthi Rao, who is there with you. She's the regional vice chair for the IUCN Commission on Education and Communication. So thanks to everybody. Good luck with this, and we'll be with you all the way.
Thank you very much. And Vasanthi, we'll also get you to say something at the end there. But wonderful. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Sean. Can I go to Nina? Nina Hamilton?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can.
Wonderful. Well, first, thank you so much for having me here today and for having us at the North American Association here today. It's very exciting to be part of this launch. As I mentioned, I'm here with the North American Association for Environmental Education, or NAAEE, and we are a professional association for environmental educators across North America. But over the years, we've really expanded our mission to working with partners all around the world, recognizing exactly this, the importance of global collaboration, of networks, of reaching beyond our national levels, our regional levels. And we are also the Secretariat of the Global Environmental Education Partnership, and we are a global network. Our goal is to build a global learning network to build capacity for environmental education across the globe. And as a network, we do several things. We facilitate a virtual community, we convene stakeholders, we run a number of programs, most notably aiming to build emerging leaders in this space, but we also generate a number of resources for educators. And we've always believed in the power of networks, and so it's really exciting to be supporting the launch of SASEANEE and seeing the progress as this network is developed. We ourselves are a network of networks, and we've talked already about why networks are important, and they give organizations a shared framework, which nowadays is so important for tackling these really complex systems that we're working in, complex issues, really global issues and crises even. They also give us a space to learn and adapt with each other, and which is also important in these really rapidly changing times, as we saw with COVID, but also things are just going to keep changing in unexpected ways. So these networks are great spaces to allow for that learning and adaptation. And with that, it's so important, in particular, bringing together perspectives across countries, cultures, sectors, generations. Several people have mentioned generations. And so creating these inclusive networks are so important. And so I think my main message here for us today is to also think collaboratively during the development of this network, and to remind ourselves that there are plenty of examples out there for us to learn from, and to see what has and hasn't worked in other networks around the world while we're creating SASEANEE's own path, because this is not the first network out there, and there are plenty of examples of those three types of networks that Sam mentioned earlier. But I mean, in my relatively short career so far, I've already seen the power of networks show up in so many ways. During the pandemic, it was a great example of how so many of us came together virtually to learn from each other, to navigate this crazy crisis together, bringing together our own individual and collective experiences. I also want to call out the amazing youth networks that are out there that are giving youth a shared platform, a common framework for voicing their concerns and actually sparking some climate action, among other issue areas. So there's just a lot of networks for us to learn from, and a lot of research out there as well. There's a lot of research out there on the influence of networks, on what makes an impactful network. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to look beyond our own networks and learn from them, but also look at the research and keep this in mind as we're moving forward. So thank you so much for having me, and very excited to be part of this.
Thank you, Nina. And I think, as Sean said, we are talking about an ecosystem here of what we are offering. It's not a question of competition here and other things. The task is so much larger than what all of us put together will do. In fact, with Sam and with UNEP, we've just been having a collaborative tight Turner program. And just yesterday when we were reviewing it, we were saying how it's between WWFC both working with UNEP, and we were saying how seamless it seemed. People completely forgot which organization they're working in because they're working for a cause. And I really look forward to that. May I next ask Pramod to say something? Pramod? And introduce yourself again.
Yes. So currently I'm Senior Director of Education at the Foundation for Environmental Education, but I started my career at the Center for Environmental Education in India and worked there for 14 years. FEE is a network of 104 organizations in 82 countries. And 10 years back into 2012, a decision was taken to set up the head office of this network to coordinate. And then currently we are realizing, as the network is growing, the importance of regional chapters of a large network and to collaborate with different partners like NAAEE and use the opportunity or the power of the network. We are feeling this need from many perspectives. The culture is one perspective, the cultural aspects related to the environmental challenges, and which has been identified as a common cross-cutting thing when we are talking about sustainability. But the other contexts from an economy and geographical point of view are also important reasons to have these regional networks. And then what we are realizing is that that everything cannot be developed in a centralized way. There is an expertise available in different regions, and we need to find ways by which we can get neighbors to talk to each other and share those resources. And Karthike shared the page on the website where a lot of resources have been already put together, which can be used by the different stakeholders working on the similar cause or the same objective that we all have. And over the years, in my slides, 25 years of work, what now I'm coming to a conclusion that it's not the resources or creation of those resources that is important, but it is dissemination of those resources, making people use those resources or providing access to those resources. And that, I think, has been captured as part of this relaunch of SASEANEE, that how do we help disseminate these resources and basically avoid the wastage of in terms of recreating or reinventing the same experience or material. And then a lot of now with technology available as seamless IT platforms or sharing is easy, can be done in that sense. I think the relevancy is an important part and is often a challenge when we come around a project or a short-term mission or interest. I think the larger cause of sustainability is an important parameter on which we can keep this interest alive among the people who, or the organization that come together. And the culture, how we set up the culture of sharing and caring here is an important, and some of the global initiatives like Greening Education Partnership and the Decade for Ecosystem Restoration could be important rallying point for SASEANEE also in the region, because what I'm realizing also is that the kind of resources that are required to scale up education for sustainable development through this big UN-led initiative, it is important that we come together and provide the support that we can, and be more proactive on that front in terms of asking others of what already is there, and instead of working in dark, and IT makes it very easy to do it now. All the best, and we'll be looking forward to work with the network. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think this point about disseminating and making people realize what is really available out there, and I think that's the curation job which Radhika and a team which is yet to be built what Radhika and her team will be doing is to really find the best which is available. And through this, Pramod, we hope many more people will get it and also adapt it to our need. Can I go to, now closer home, can I go to Nalaka? Nalaka, you were, I'm not sure whether you were there in the 93 meeting. You were there. Yeah, so you were there, and for a long time we've been looking at ways in which we can share information between Sri Lanka and India, and of course we'll come to Mr. Bidan very soon. So Nalaka, can I hand over the mic to you? Yeah. You're not audible yet. Can someone check the mic? Nalaka, just say something. No.
Can't hear you.
Now it's okay. No, now he's not muted. He's not muted. Nalaka, I don't know why we can't. Why we can't hear.
Okay, we just check over there. What's the issue?
Just check. Can I go to Mr.
There's
Bidan
something
and come
at-
back to you, Nalaka, in a minute?
Yeah, so Mr.
I'll just come
Nalaka,
back.
we request
So
you to...
Can I go to Mr. Bidan Pal in the meanwhile? Bidan Pal is from Bangladesh. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much, and respect to you, Kartikda. I am Bidhan. I am the founder and managing director of Prabha Aurora. At the same time, I was the Bangladesh country coordinator of Bangladesh of the UNEP supported platform called SASEANEE, South Asia Youth Environment Network, about 20 years ago. And I am also currently working as the national operator of FEE in Bangladesh. So ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and fellow youths and advocates for sustainability education, greetings from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on the part of the globe from where you are participating now. And I am privileged to be present at this historic moment today. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude Center for Environmental Education for inviting me to speak at the 5th International Conference on Sustainability Education. And it is an honor to address you all here on the theme of educating for climate action and sustainability. And today I am particularly excited to be a part of the launch of the South and Southeast Asia Network for Environmental Education, SASEANEE, right here at the Icse conference. And this launch holds special significance for me as it brings back memories of my youth when I was deeply involved with a similar platform, the South Asia Youth Environment Network, or SASEANEE, supported by UNEP, serving as the country coordinator for Bangladesh. I witnessed firsthand the transformative power of environmental education, communication, and cultural exchange through global workshops that expanded my horizons and reinforced my dedication to sustainability education. With the launch of SASEANEE today, we are creating a similar platform for South and Southeast Asia youth, and this network will promote collaboration, facilitate the sharing of best practices in sustainability education, and equip our youth to address global challenges as informed and engaged citizens. So in an era where climate change necessitates action, there is a growing movement towards a greener future in South Asia, where rich landscapes and vibrant cultures converge. In Bangladesh, Prabha Aurora proudly stands at the forefront of this transformative journey, and we are a climate-sensitive, youth-focused social enterprise committed to environmental stewardship and sustainability. As the national operator of the Foundation for Environmental Education in Bangladesh, Prabha Aurora has brought the world's leading environmental programs to our country. And the Foundation for Environmental Education, you all know, recognized by UNEP and UNESCO, it is the world's largest environmental education organization headquartered in Denmark. and it has 5 flagship programs. And FEE has recently extended its reach to South and Southeast Asia, with Prabha Arora's pioneering 3 of these programs in Bangladesh: Eco Schools, Green Key, and YRE, and all with a unified goal of global environmental education and stewardship. But Prabha Arora's mission goes beyond border. We envision a greener South and Southeast Asia where sustainability becomes a way of life, not just a word. We are confined that SASEANEE will provide a platform for organizations like ours from the entire region to come together and foster a generation of climate conscious individuals and environmental leaders. Having said that, I would like to take the chance to share with you all that we have developed revenue generation models that we aim to scale up and replicate for sustainability, placing environmental and greening education at the core. So at last, I would like to mention that as Prabha Arora continues to champion the FEE programs in Bangladesh and pursue its initiatives, it levies a significant marks of on Bangladesh and the broader South and Southeast Asia region. The message is clear: a greener future is not a distant dream. It is an attainable reality nurtured by passion, education, and action. Finally, I will say that I am still a youth at heart. My organization and I are working with the same enthusiasm that I have worked with before, involving other youths. And we believe that we can work together to make this platform more fruitful. And I believe that the leadership role that CEE is playing in climate action and environmental education in this region will be followed by other regions of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vidhan. This is particularly significant because he was a part of a network which we did with UNEP, which was called SASEANEE. And for many years, that network worked, and he was just telling us how great that experience was. And I hope we can again create opportunities in that way. Nalaka, just let's have one more try. Yeah. Can you say something?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Great, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me, and great to join you as we relaunch SASEANEE. Greetings from Colombo, Sri Lanka. As I was trying to say earlier, I was there in February 1993 when SASEANEE was originally launched. I have fond memories of that gathering of maybe 200 or 250 people. And of course, we lived in a different century and a different world at that time. Our challenges were already formidable. That summit had just been held, but nowhere near what we face today. So I think as we relaunch, I think the challenge is to take stock of the altered reality. Just take one factoid, if I may. In 1993, the atmospheric CO2 level was, in early 93, was 358 parts per million, 358 ppm. And this summer, this Northern Hemisphere summer, it passed 424 parts per million, 424 parts per million. Now, in the 30 years that have passed, the CO2 levels have gone up by 66 ppm. And that has led to so much change that climate crisis is here and now. It's no longer something to talk about in futuristic terms as we did in the 90s. And I think the challenge now is to look at the climate crisis as the overarching or the all-encompassing reality that covers and engulfs us, and to find ways of responding. And as we know, climate change talks have been going on. The climate convention has been in place for more than 30 years. And there are two responses that we've been hearing about in that time: mitigation and adaptation. And for both these to work, we need effective communication. And so for more than a dozen years now, I have been advocating that climate communication, including education, should be the third plank in global climate response. The third plank, alongside mitigation and adaptation, we need climate communication. And for journalists like myself, I come from a background of journalism and science communication, this is the biggest story in our lifetime. And how do we cover it with all the nuances and complexities? And for teachers and other educators, this is the biggest lesson that they must first learn, and then they need to share and amplify it as widely as possible. And for everybody else. So, and today we have digital tools and platforms that enable us to reach more easily, but also we have the challenge that we have a hugely distracted audience. Everybody is distracted in this attention economy. How do we gain even 15 seconds or 30 seconds of somebody's attention and engage them in a meaningful conversation? That's another challenge. So how do we as SASEANEE relaunches, how do we find that balance between alarmism and complacence? How do we find the right balance between the global and the local? And how do we also find a balance between political bickering, which is necessary but not sufficient, and survival action? So I think getting the balances right, I think, is what I would.
And I think this dialogue will continue as we build. Sure. Thank you very much, Nalika.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are running late, so I'm going to give mic to each one of you to make a comment. Can I go to Hiyoko first?
Hello, my name is Hiroko. I am from Okayama University, which is one of the most advanced ESD universities in Japan, it is said. And also, I am from Okayama City, which is one of the 7 first RCEs, the Regional Center of Expertise on ESD. So I would just tell you, the time is limited, 3 key messages from Okayama as a representative. So first of all, I keep it in mind that it's from an African proverb that it takes a whole village to raise one child. So when we don't have such a village, or I say community anymore, what will we do? Then my idea is to create a village again, like a community. And the community is not just like a physical community or geographical community. It's a community like this that transcends time and spaces. So this SASEANEE network can be another new community to raise a child, which is a next generation. And in secondary, from my experience in the United States, Oregon, where I studied abroad and firstly learned the importance of sustainability, that it's one teacher can make a huge difference. In this context, we all know that educators have a pivotal role in sustainability, right? But educating the educators who can do sustainability education is lagging behind. We are still at the exploratory stages, even in Okayama University. We just started a new course called ESD and SDGs education last year. So we just started a small number of applicant students who want to continue their activities on the education for sustainable development, like maybe 10 or 20 students. It's not a big thing, but I think it's a big step forward for us. Because in our institution, the education is still in a traditional way, very subject-oriented. And there is no subject such as ESD, right? So, but ESD is not a subject, it's a vision, and it's a kind of glasses, right? So, and the lastly, I wanted to say is that, sorry. And among, it is better that 1 step by 100 people is better than 100 steps by 1 person. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Berman, we started half an hour late, so we are running a little late. We are trying to finish it very fast. Can we have a quick comment?
Thank you. I'm Bethany Davies from the Australian Council for Educational Research, and thanks for this opportunity to be part of this launch. I grew up on a farm during the Millennium Drought in Australia, which was about a 10-year-long drought. And I think sometimes I have a bit of a tension through that experience between the global and local discussions of climate emergency. In terms of thinking about how do we decide what we should focus on globally and what we should focus on locally, because as we know, the most devastating effects of climate emergency are felt locally. I think this network is a fantastic example of what we should think about in terms of scaling globally, and that is information, knowledge sharing and collaboration. And that's what users can then take to contextualise that locally and adapt it to their local context. So I think this is a fantastic example of that. I think there are 3 areas of probably consideration after seeing this network to perhaps consider moving forward. Firstly, I think language really matters. So when we're referring to things like environmental education, education for sustainable development, climate change education, I believe it's really important for educational practitioners that we really unpack what those terms mean. When we talk about sustainability, what are we looking to sustain? In terms of climate change, we know it's difficult for a child in a classroom to have a direct influence on emissions, but they do have a lot more influence on their local environmental degradation or biodiversity loss. I think networks like this are another fantastic opportunity to unpack those terms and what do we really mean by those. Secondly, I'd like to emphasise the fundamental importance of agency for our young people. It's my observation that I think we often defer responsibility to young people for their future and our future, but we don't give them any agency to do anything about it. So I passionately believe about co-designing our education systems, our curriculum, our resources with young people, and I think that's something, again, to consider as this network develops forward is it's not about just asking young people what they want, but actually working with them to develop it. And just lastly, I also share Cheryl's sentiment online that of the importance of nature relation, and it really occurred to me just then that obviously the natural environment has a myriad of examples of symbiotic and complex but perfectly balanced networks. And this provides, I think, an opportunity for this network to learn from our natural environment and to reflect those and mirror those. And I think leading into that is prioritising Indigenous knowledges and perspectives. In Australia, we are so lucky to have one of the oldest living cultures of 60,000 years worth of knowledge and experience and perspectives on this area. So I think having a place in this network for that is really important. So yes, thank you for sharing this network with me, and I look forward to using it.
Just myself is Umesh Kumar Mandal, Professor and Head, Central Department of Geography, Tinwar University, Kathmandu, Nepal. So I like this network because why you need this network? So environmental problems are not their political boundaries. So political boundaries are only with the countries, not the problem. So if you talk about the disaster, so there is no political boundary. India and Nepal is facing the flood, and then you have national wild animals movement and biodiversity means across the border. So that is why we need this a regional network, right? So regional networks, we need that one because of we don't have the same capacity to overcome these problems. So if you have the single stick, it is breakable, we can break it, but you have the more and more stick, it is very difficult to break it, and that is the mission and goal of this network, ASEAN Network. So from Nepal, I would like to request you all, so we are with you whenever you need this strength and work together, because the collaborative and the communities are very basic for this environmental problems solution. So I would like to thank Dr. Ram Bose, because of he, I am here and part of this 5th International Conference on Climate Action and Sustainability, and entire team, the organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Michelle Dilhara. I'm a Sri Lankan actress, author, and an environmentalist. I'll make it short. So SASEANEE, I think it will be a very promising network, which will help to reconnect and collaborate with all the youth who will be the next leaders in the society and in the world. So it will help to build networks and give them, and it will help them to focus on one mission, which is to preserve and protect the earth. So I wish SASEANEE, and I hope it will help many youth, especially university students as well as school students, because I've been working with almost 10 to 11 universities in Sri Lanka, and they have the capacity and they have the motivation. So I hope everyone who loves nature and the environment and the planet Earth will join with SASEANEE and move forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That brings an end to this one. We would like to felicitate everyone with a memento. But let me take this moment to thank Pradeep ji, who was not here, Pradeep, when we just launched this a few minutes ago. But for him, this was very difficult. And the help and always the support of working with him and to making the ICSC more spread in this region. More people know about it. We hope this network will do it. Also wanted to thank Mr. Garg and Rambuj for their support. So can we give this?
Yes.
Yeah. Pradeep, would you like to say a word? Would you like to say a word? He wanted you to bless the network.
Well, I thank you for bringing these people into the conference, and I wish them all success. And I think it's a very good platform where they can take forward the movement for sustainability. Thank you.
We had a number of people online who also joined us, so thank you very much.
Bethany? Yeah, Dr. Bethany? Okay. Dr. Hiroko?
I don't give everyone and take a joint picture.
And a big thank you to all our online panelists. We shall keep mementos for you when we meet you next time. So thank you so much, and thank you for your patience. Yes.
Please take some of the international partners. We had Radhika from Sri Lanka, Sharon Charles,
Yes, you can access the network at SASEANEE.org. So do stay in touch. And thank you so much for your patience.
There will be a cultural event. මගේ ස්ක්‍රිප්ට් එක තියෙනවද බලන්න මගේ ස්ක්‍රිප්ට් එක තියෙනවද බලන්න ටක් ගාලා අරක ගන්න Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear ladies and gentlemen, I request you to be present at the venue and give us 2 minutes because you will be able to witness some beautiful performances since we have come to the end of the session. So I request all of you to please be seated for another few minutes.
Some call me nature. Others call me mother.
So they will be first.
Yeah, they will be first. They have mentioned it first one. Yeah.
Nataraja.
ඔයා මේ හරිය ඉන්නකොට අග්ගලා